just the image of whomsoever that wrestler was and the way the art direction everything was. I was just like, I don't know who this Kirkland's Best Duke Nukem motherfucker is.
I believe that's Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Oh, he's been around for a while.
Yeah, he is the current undisputed WWE champion, Sarah.
Okay.
Okay, yep. I remember him.
But yeah, he hasn't been around for a long time. He debuted in 2006. So
Look, I was spending my time watching.
He also played Goldust's son for a while.
Okay, cool.
Goldust rules. I
Goldust
feel like if you were into a wrestler, it would be Goldust.
It would probably be Goldust.
Really? Why is that?
Let me pick up a picture.
Does he like snort dust of gold? Damn.
No, he started as like kind of like an effeminate surfer dude.
Okay, that's kind of fun.
And then the character just got more and more queer over time. They just became like a queer villain.
Sarah would only like the gay one. I mean, that's pretty fun. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty into this.
But but their character is just like scary.
Look, I'm here for evil 90s lesbians.
He is an evil 90s lesbian.
That was the energy I was getting.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I just...
His finisher would be he would like throw you into the ring, the posts, and you'd like you get tangled up in the ropes. He'd run to the other side of the the ring, and then he'd run, and then from like almost halfway, he'd diving headbutt straight into the crotch.
Oh, okay.
And then usually do some sort of slam, and then
he's son of old wrestler Dusty Rhodes, and he's half brother of Cody Rhodes. Goldust was, so they're all related. So they were brothers. That's why. Anyway,
wait, in real life?
Yeah, they're related in real life. And speaking of real life, hey, welcome to Blank Bodies. We're sitting here in real life doing our podcast about Vampire the Masquerade tabletop and horror. We're back, and as you can tell, my brain is back to complete functionality after a convention and then a vacation trip, and then being in the office for a week straight. Totally normal.
Totally normal human mage.
Like, but for real though, Goldust had some of the coolest like corpse paint.
Because it's like black and gold corpse paint, right?
Yeah,
that's pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean this isn't quite corpse paint, but like, homie.
I mean, I could
pretty fucking.
If
cool.
I saw that at a metal show, I wouldn't be upset.
Yeah, right.
I know there'd be a bunch of old heads that are like, that's not actually corpse paint. I'm like, okay, well, you can take your Burzum shirt and get the fuck out of here.
This is a podcast. John just showed us a picture of Goldust in gold and black flames as face paint.
It's pretty metal.
That's
this one's a little bit more
paint.
Corpse paint. There's like the bleeding eyes and the things going up onto the skull. It's also still black and gold, which, you know what, I appreciate.
I love it.
The artistry. Anyways, that one.
Oh yeah, I'm John. Sorry.
And I'm Sarah, and I'm already halfway through this 550 milliliter Monster Rehab.
Yeah, I don't think I said my name, but I'm Hunter. Hi, how's it going?
We're absolutely recovered from Gen Con.
That's fine.
I missed you all so much.
But
we're back.
It's like I sat down in my seat today to record, and I don't know if you heard me, but I did sit down and go, oh, because I forgot that like we got like nice comfy chairs.
I mean, the chairs are comfy. You got like the extra cush chair because you're a little princess.
He's got no butt.
That's fair.
That's the real reason.
No padding to sit upon.
That's fair. I respect the fact that you're disabled. He's got no cake.
I don't. Legs for days. No
Legs
cake.
for days, no cake.
Yeah.
We couldn't let this twink suffer.
Oh no! So I guess becoming our now post-Gen Con tradition, we're doing kind of what I'm lovingly referring to as a hangover episode.
Yeah. Also, speaking of Gen Con, we did do a live show, and thank you to everyone who came out. It was a lot of fun. No hate, but Gen Con did mess up our audio setup again, and in fact did not provide one until 20 minutes into our show. And so we weren't able to record the live episode like we had planned. So if you're one of our patrons, I'm going to be posting on the patron and in the Discord patron chat an update. We're going to do a special, different bonus episode for you this month because I know we'd promised that, but technical issues have defeated us once again.
We got fucked.
When we did get our mics, one of them died like
Okay, so here's the
4
thing.
minutes later.
Wait.
And the guy gave me like 2 mics.
Yeah,
So I only
so-
was the only one with a mic for a while.
Yeah, Hunter was dual wielding mics, and then John and I were sharing a mic, and then it died, so I referred to it as the Drake mic. And then Eric joined us, so you and Eric were sharing a mic, and then John and I were sharing a mic. For those who haven't caught on, Eric was our lovely storyteller for our werewolf one-shot. You should go listen to it.
It was a good time.
And if you see
It's like
him...
a 6-shot or something.
Yeah,
It was fun.
we technically recorded it in a 3-shot, but it had to be split up. Anyways, I just hope you enjoyed that story. I had a blast and a hoot.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah.
Got
Little tragic.
It's werewolf.
That's fair.
It's werewolf.
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 Where is wolf?
Their castle.
I can't tell you that, man.
I think they went back to the lake, actually. Spoilers.
Spoilers. But if you have feedback on that to share, that would be dope, because if you listeners like us doing more little one-shot-ish stories to share, we might continue to do that.
Also, listen to it over and over and over so you can see that you really like it.
Make the number big. Eric likes big numbers.
I also like big numbers. I think everyone likes big numbers.
It
Let's
depends
be
on the
real.
big number.
I guess that's fair, yeah.
Depends where it's coming from.
Yeah.
It depends on what is either pre or post the big number.
The big number exists in the context of everything that came before it
Yeah,
and everything around it.
right. So I like big number in that context.
Yes.
Anyway, what are we doing? We're doing some like questions or shit?
Yeah, listener questions and answers.
And
From-
answers.
from you. Well, our listeners graciously provided us with questions that were about 2 answers.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you enjoy this and want questions answered at some point vaguely in the future, we have the fan mailbag channel you can drop questions in. That is where we harvested these questions and have milled them into a list that will be read.
Yeah, we also did one of these exclusively for our patrons not that long ago, but we typically do these like once or twice a year, just to check in with y'all.
And say, this is our answers to the questions that you've queried.
Yep.
Yeah. So who wants to read? You should probably read, Hunter.
Me reading?
You read. I
Okay. I'm gonna start at the top. So we're gonna start newest to oldest because we're just that functional.
Hell yeah.
So what is your most controversial lore take / opinion? What do you think makes it so controversial? And that's from Witch Knight Black.
I'm going to solely base this on I don't think this is actually my most controversial take, but it's just the one that people most have given me visceral reactions to when I've said it in person, which is, I don't think Tremere's the bad guy. I know, right? It's like, I'm like, I think Salot's up to shit, as I've said in the Salubri episodes.
I don't think there is the bad guy at all. I just think that Tremere is a big bad guy.
Oh, no, I'm not saying he's a good person, but it's one of those, like, compared to other antediluvians, if my theory, based on what we're getting on the lore in V5 especially, is anywhere near correct, I'm just like, okay, he's a pain in the ass, but hear me out.
Yeah, the next book that they got in the works right now might answer a lot of those questions,
Yeah,
so that'll be interesting.
That's either going to completely verify everything I've been saying, and clearly folks have been listening to our show and need to hire me, or I'm wrong and everybody can go, Sarah, you were not correct. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
No, I definitely can hear that. I would say Tremere is probably on the shittier side of antediluvians, but not necessarily the worst. There are some that are just like, oh, buddy, I feel so bad for you.
Yeah.
But otherwise, most of them are up to some dumb / bad / evil shit.
Yeah.
So
Mostly antediluvians people are just like, oh, this one. I'm like, no. And then there's just Malkov.
Malkov, and I think Nosferatu, he was kind of chill.
No.
I can't remember.
Absa Millard?
Oh yeah, no, he was like
No, he
the
was like
hunter that-
king piece of shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, he was the guy who was really pretty who got made ugly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
and
it's just-
then made it everybody's problem.
He got a scar.
Yeah.
And
He might
maybe
actually
everybody
be the
else's
most
problem.
beautiful person in the world still.
Right.
with a face scar, which could just make him hotter.
Think Geralt.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing with Henry Cavill. I did not understand when people are like, oh my god, this man is so attractive. I was like, I don't get it. They put some schmutz on him, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it.
You're like,
Okay.
wow.
Oh, there it is. There it is. That's what did it. Ugh.
Technically,
He's just got to be dirty. I gotcha.
I know we haven't talked about him. Technically, the best might be Ravnos because he's dead.
Dead asterisks. We'll get to him later. That's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. But you guys.
Controversial.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have that many controversial takes. I mean, like, I have some very large disagreements, if that counts.
That maybe.
Like the fact that vicissitude is a virus from the Umbra or space. It's fucking dumb. I hate it.
Yeah.
I think that's always been a controversial one. I don't know if you're controversial for saying that. I think that's always been one of the most hotly debated.
Right.
Like the book that's in is considered one of the worst original run books because there's so many things in that book that people are just like, I hate it, and we're not using this.
Right.
I see it.
That's why I'm saying, like, I don't know that I have that many. What do I rant about, friends?
You rant about a lot of things, but I don't know if they're necessarily
really controversial. You just have big feelings about them.
Yeah. Sorry. Who was this? Witch Knight?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Witch Knight. I don't know that I have that many hot takes. I kind of go like, all right, cool, or no, I don't like that.
I might have a backup hot take to help you out.
Oh yeah.
It's not one that's really in your wheelhouse, but it's one of my other hot takes, which is this is also going back into Tremere, which is I'm like, hey guys, I don't think Karna's that fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like I've said, in the context of V5, I enjoy Karna, but the more you dig into her lore in the context of Old World and how she is now, it's kind of set her up to be what the Anarchs were in the Old World system, which is just a lot of like, fuck you, Dad, I'm going skateboarding, but like, I'm still gonna ride this wave of privilege I have and not actually like do anything to change the systems of my own oppression. And it's just like, I think it's an interesting story and I think that makes her a cool character, but I don't think a lot of the World of Darkness with the new bunch of vampire fans, especially after LA by Night, I'm like, hey guys, Karna's not like,
she's not the good guy.
This is not a one note rah character. There's some depth and context in it, and it's kind of a good facsimile to a lot of issues with dealing with being a white woman in a revolutionary space, and the fact that you really need to like do introspection and critiques on yourself as a person in that space, and a lot of us fucking don't do that. But anyways,
I've been thinking, and I think I've said it on the show, but I still believe it. So I'm gonna say I think my hottest take is that the best World of Darkness game line was Hunter the Vigil. Just as a game, I think it's closest to just good all the way around. I love it. It's perfect. It's my little baby.
It's a little baby. It's like gets the Blank Body's gold star seal of approval. We're like, yes, this is the goal.
I like that you can use any of the lore you want, but you don't have to. It turned every other World of Chronicles book into a monster manual, basically. Great system. I love it. It's my personal favorite. I know. I don't think Vigil gets...
I like that it has an XP thing where you have personal XP and group XP that you work on together.
Oh, yeah, the group XP was so cool, and that's basically in V5 now.
Yeah, that's basically what
They
Coteries...
took that and just gave it to Coteries.
That's what Coteries are supposed to be. Fucking use them. Anyway.
Yeah, we did a whole episode about that.
Yeah.
Go check it out. But I think that, and I don't know if I have any other takes that are all that hot.
Right, like, I don't think that Mage right now, hopefully they will fix it for, 5, but I don't think Mage should be a splat in most splat games. I don't feel like that's hot to take, because most people are like, if you don't do this right, Mage really can fuck a game up.
It depends on the ST and the player, and if they're actually going to use if they're actually going to hold a Mage is magic to work with how they actually believe magic works, like their paradigm. If they actually say, how do you do drugs to see into other worlds, how is that going to make you kill someone with your eyes? If you actually use their paradigm to keep players in check,
right,
works great. But you have to know Mage really well to run Mage. So if you're just like, I like vampire, and I've run a little werewolf, and I think we can make all these work, and you just have some guy pick up the mage book, oh, you are screwed.
Yeah.
I think the system works, but you need to be like a mage ST,
that decides to put other splats in.
Then let other people play other stuff, basically. I think that's the only way that's going to work. That's Old World, though. So we'll see what happens in M5. I'm guessing it's also going to be a situation where, you learn mage and base
your knowledge on that.
Yeah, because... what's cool about Mage is you have so much freedom and there's so much you can do with it, but if you or the player try and take advantage of that, or you don't fully understand the roadblocks that are in front of those characters, whoo boy, It's kind of like when you're just like, if you're a new vampire player, you're like, yeah, you can use any of the old world powers. That's fine. ST.
No.
And then they start using like the 6-dot disciplines,
Not
or
even then.
even some of the 5-dot disciplines from old world.
I'm gonna.
There are like 3 and 2 dots that are like fucking wild.
There's a 1.1.
Yeah.
In necromancy. That I've had resurfaced recently. We're gonna talk about it later. But its name is bad. What parts of the ritual are bad. That is this is rated X for only those who are prepared situations, and it's technically a 1-dot ritual.
Okay, here's my hottest take. I actually realized what it was in the moment.
Yes.
Well, conceptually, I think the idea is interesting. The Chaosid are a dumb clan. Same with True Bruja. We don't need time travel vampires, and we don't need I can know anything by thinking like a fairy vampires. I think they're both kind of goofy, and they're just designed to break the game.
Yeah,
They're fine. They can be good NPCs, but
I would agree with you there. I think that like I don't like them as player characters. I don't think
it's definitely one of those. If they are player characters, you need to have a player who is very good at communicating, is very good at taking criticisms and critiques, and is willing to and pivot as needed.
And is probably willing to work with you in advance about what the fuck they're planning to do.
Right.
But that's also old world, so if you're just a V5 player, you don't have to know about that.
You don't have to worry about that.
You can just take that, throw it in the trash. They better not make it yet. I'll be so mad.
I think that for me, they feel like the I'm special clans.
Yeah, the I'm special bloodlines. Yeah, because it's just like, well, of course you want to take your Sonic OOC, don't steal 1/3 demon, 1/3 angel, 1/3 vampire character and play at the table. Right. But I also got into World of Darkness in the 2000s when there was the peak Angel Fire Journal insanity. My Immortal, just everybody's worst first takes of any fanfic.
I just imagine crawling.midi playing while you said that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just
I don't know. If you like those clans, that is, like I said, probably my most controversial take. But I've seen them run a couple times as interesting NPCs, but every time I hear someone talk about playing them, I'm like, that sounds terrible. That doesn't sound like fun for anyone but you.
Yeah, it's like, why do you want to play a character like this? Like, what are you actually getting out of this?
Time travel breaks role-playing games. I mostly just wouldn't allow it, so...
Unless the whole chronicle's about time travel and everyone's on board.
Yeah, unless you brought enough time travel for the group.
Unless you're all going. Everyone in the party gets one time travel as a treat, and you have to bring enough for the entire class. Otherwise, this is bullshit, and you need to spit it into the trash can.
Yes.
All right. Ready for the next question?
Let's go.
All right. Which personal favorite body horror movie would make a great Nosferatu? And that's from Nomad Prince.
The Brood.
That's a great movie. Yeah. That's a great fucking movie. That would be a terrifying Nosferatu.
Holy shit, right?
I don't.
Just a Nosferatu that is like budding, like fucking familiars off of itself and just licking them clean and then just setting them loose.
Yeah, I like that.
I think as a storyteller, I might, to balance for V5, just be like, I need you to take animalism.
Yeah.
We're going to run it like a raccoon or a dog, but its outside skin is going to be whatever horrifying fetile-esque monstrosity you wish to describe it.
Right.
But it's running on raccoon stats.
And they are masquerade breaches.
And this is a masquerade breach. So, unless you want to put like a big poofy coat on it, so it looks like one of the children from A Christmas Story, you're fucked. But I'm just like, God, that would oof.
It's not really a body horror movie, but I feel like the critters in The Descent.
Oh, that would be super fun.
Would be good. They're very Nosferatu coded already, but
underground weird things crawling around, clicking a lot.
Yeah,
I've pretty much used those as my reference points for Nick Tuku since I've seen The Descent. I was just the meme of Leonardo DiCaprio in the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Just that was the vibe. That was what I was aiming for.
That is absolutely That's a fine.
I think we definitely brought this up before, but I think the obvious answer, because I've basically made this character, I've never played them, but basically just Candyman.
Oh yeah, just full of bees.
You just give him Living Hive.
Yeah.
Get in that rockin' fucking coat, though.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah.
You just make it so their body's rotting under the coat, a little stanky.
Yeah. Well, it's like you don't need your innards, so you could just like have a flap that he like cuts open just to let the bees loose.
Yeah.
Huh.
You could do that, or you could give him the new Nosferatu Bane, where there's just like bugs around him constantly, and he's got a hive in him.
Yeah.
Just make him the Bugman.
Love it, love it.
I think that's not directly a body horror movie either, but that is body horror that I think would make a great Nosferatu.
My problem with restricting it to body horror right now is all the ones I'm thinking of are like that's not a Nosferatu. That's like a Zamitzi.
Fucking,
you know what I mean? Like
The Fly.
Yeah, that could be a good one. A Brundle situation.
A Brundlefly kind of dude where he's just like melting into whatever creature-oid he's becoming and just picking up those affects and...
Yeah, I like that.
God, I love The Fly. It's such a fucking sad movie. Ooh.
All the weird, deep ones, essentially, in that one.
They're kind of fish monster. There's some Nosferatu that are, like, weird animal looking. You can make, like, a deep one Nosferatu.
That's kind of how Sergei was.
Yeah.
Long, lanky, with a anglerfish face.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any other body horror specifically that I'm just like, ugh, this would be fun.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I love body horror, but I do kind of agree with John. A lot of the stuff that I'm thinking of and that I'm seeing going through my letterbox that I've reviewed are like very Zamit's. It's a lot of like experimenting and messing with their own body. Or
this is not technically a body horror, but body horror is a big part of it. I think if you went Akira and you had a Nosferatu that was just like basically kind of like Tetsuo the Iron Manning himself and just forcefully like integrating his computer components inside of himself to hide it because he's like one of the last Shrek neck people. So he's kind of turning himself into
living hive into like living server
kind of thing, or
that's
you know
cool.
He's got plugs to like have people like USB ports in his head to like share data.
Right.
It's very like Johnny Mnemonic.
Well, yeah, he doesn't need his like intestines and stuff. He just cut them out and put a computer in there.
Yeah, just if the room's silent, you can just hear the tiny whirring of the fans inside of him, keeping the servers cool.
He's gotta be real careful about keeping those cool. If he gets too hot.
Well, like if he doesn't use Blush of Life, your body temperature is just the ambient room temperature.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying if the computer gets too hot, overheats.
I wonder. Okay, so
of him.
You know how there's like the liquid coolant systems for computers?
Yeah.
I'm like, what if there was a Vitae infused?
Oh my god.
So would it work? Would it be better or worse?
Ooh, you know how we talked about in the Nosferatu episode? I can't remember what they were called, but it's kind of the Nosferatu who get turned, but they don't come out right, like mentally or physically.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes they basically keep them as like pets.
Or they're just like, well, this is my slow son.
Yeah.
I can't kill my slow son.
You could do that and have a basket case scenario.
Could have a basket case. You could have a very was it Lenny and George from Grapes of Wrath?
Yeah. Or if you just want any inspiration for how you're Nosferatu, you could just go watch Nightbreed.
Yeah.
There's like 100.
A lot of those are good Nosferatu.
Yeah. We still need to watch that. I have the director's cut, and we haven't watched
the director's cut. It's long.
I have the full cut.
I'm in.
I have the festival cut, if you will.
Oh. I feel like part of the problem is I started on a really strong note.
Yeah.
And then just was like,
Well, it's interesting. I do like, because I do typically think of Zamit's when I think body horror, but they're not the only clan. Far from it. And it is interesting to think that like body horror typically does have that like it typically has that science.
You know, it'd be really fun.
Yeah.
Like designing a series of Nosferatu based off of just Cronenberg's like filmography.
Yeah.
I feel like that could be really good because he delves into several different types and subgenres of body horror.
Okay.
So that could be a fun design challenge is here's your Videodrome Nosferatu. Here's your Crimes of the Future Nosferatu.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
They live.
That could be fun.
It's like
that's just a Hunter Chronicle.
Peeling. Well, I'm saying like
the thing from
the aliens from They Live.
Okay. I'll give you that. Fine.
That's right.
Fine. Okay. I think we got that question pretty well answered.
That was fun.
Decent.
All right. So our next question is, if y'all could get any of the old World of Darkness books redone and updated to V5, Which would y'all choose? And that's from Bastien Deveau, or Vestaline from the server. And I apologize if I butchered that last name.
No, you actually got that part correct.
Nice. I did take 1 year of French in elementary school, so...
Proud of you, buddy.
They required you to take 3 years of language. But that meant I could take 1 year of every language, and I learned to count and the ABCs 3 times. And I still got that honors degree, baby.
Baby. Oh,
they didn't see me coming. But yeah, any old book, what would you have redone? That is a tough one.
I would assume that also means it would be updated and like any issues with it would hopefully be addressed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it Mummy for you, Hunter?
I mean, I would like to see
Mummy
a
5.
comprehensive Mummy, but I don't know if that's the top of mine. That is definitely the joke answer. But I do think if you want to play Mummy, you're probably better off just playing the Chronicles version of Mummy, right?
Old book, bringing it back.
Okay, this might be a little bit of a weird hit. There is a book that is a Dark Ages book called the Euryses Fragments.
Yeah.
So it has segments of like Book of Nod that have been found in the Dark Ages, and there's just big chunks of the book that are various medieval scholars from the different clans like debating with each other like what the shards mean and what this means in the context of their current understanding of history and the impending end times and shit. I would love to see analogous for that in V5, but it is like contemporary scholarly NPCs discussing, especially post now that we have Book of Not Apocrypha out. And so maybe I would ask for this after the Gehenna Wars book is out, if there could be like a little splat something or other with like 4 or 5 of the more academic NPCs arguing with each other about what Gehenna actually means now in the context of everything that we have.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm like, that would be super dope.
I like that.
Can I say some of the novels?
Yeah.
I would love to just say like novels. Just bring back like 2 or 3 novels.
Yeah.
Follow. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't want clan novels. I don't really care about that. But do like a Winter's Teeth situation where it's like you kind of have a main character-esque.
Yeah.
And you follow.
Well, there's like a handful of characters that were like canonical favorites that came from like the clan novels that I'm like,
right. You can just follow one of those.
Yeah,
characters.
it's like I would love to
make
fucking
a brand new one. Who cares?
Like I would fucking love there to be a novel bouncing between Tigurius and Victoria Ash leading up to the Vermilion Wedding.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Like, you could do it almost Bridgerton-esque if you wanted to get, like, food to do with it. Or you can get very, like, spy versus spy, almost, like, weird, courtly love intrigue, something or other.
Right.
Like, that could be bananas. That could be really fucking cool, actually.
I think what I would like, and we're gonna have to wait probably a couple more years before this would even be a possibility, but because we would probably need Mage and Changeling at least, if not also Wraith. But they used to release books that were just World of Darkness, and they weren't for a specific game line. I think having some books that are compatible with everything and kind of just talk about, that are either crossover books or they just talk about things that aren't game line specific would be really cool.
Like events that cross over the different splats.
Like events, like give us a Week of Nightmares book, or like give us like city books again, but they're not Rage Across or By Night or whatever. Give us like, this is just what everyone's up to in this like area.
Yeah. Like little regional books.
Yeah, or like I really liked, it's weird, it's probably a controversial one, but I just like some of the weird stuff like Midnight Circus. That was one of the first ones that came to mind, which is just about a weird traveling circus of supernaturals who are up to some fuck shit. Like,
hell yeah.
It's probably a really goofy book. I don't think I've read it since the early 2000s, but that's one I always thought stood out as like a very unique, interesting book.
Yeah, this was a book that was in Chronicles, not Old World of Darkness, but there was one in Chronicles called Midnight Roads. And it was a book that I've used a lot as a storyteller for pulling information for just travel. And it is a vampire book, but it had a lot of really good information for just if you're going to have Chronicles of Darkness games happen on the road or during transit, like things that you can pull from.
I use that for our Vigil game. It's
yeah, and I mean, I know there's technically the game novel that has been done. I think it's called Midnight Roads now too.
Yeah.
The visual novel that's they can get on Steam. I will start trying to stream games at some point. It's just my life's been fuck. That's on my list of things to get through.
And
Clan books.
New clan books.
clan books,
Fucking new clan books would be really neat.
the way they've been releasing things, I would like them to do kind of like we talked about maybe doing for the werewolf episodes, but like give us like 3 clans in one book. So we're not waiting 12 years to get all the clan books. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It'd be kind of like, with the second ed D&D where they had the source books, but it was like 2 classes in a book.
Yeah.
It was like martial, and that would have fighter. What is it? It was like fighter, ranger, and something else.
Yeah, and then there was like the cleric paladin book, and then there was the rogue bard book.
Yeah, something like that, where it's like, all right, we're gonna pick like do a book
Kind of
like they
themes.
did, kind of like they did with Dark Ages, where it's like these are the high clans, these are the low clans, these are the outsider clans. Any way you want to cut them up and put them into a theme, I think would be interesting. Just like give us some updates about what all these, especially the big names in these clans are doing. Little extra RP for new players, like
a little bit more culture and heritage and background and things for people to buy into. Not saying that that's half the reason we do the clan deep dives the way we do, because we're just like, new players don't know any of this fucking shit.
Yeah,
throw in a couple new like clan specific disciplines because everybody loves those.
Yeah, like whack in a couple of clan specific lore sheets, because some clans looking at you setites need clan specific lore sheets.
Yep.
They got fucked.
We need some too. As a meat see.
Yeah. Circling back to controversial takes, setites got fucked in V5.
Yeah, a lot of the like weird clans did.
No, it's like I can see why Salubri got kind of fucked. I can kind of see why Ravnos got fucked. I was like, the setites had no reason to get this fucked as they did in V5. And it's not like the plot shafted them; it's just the developers. I'm like, guys, there's so much here you could run with, and you've not.
They're very cool.
What has been done is cool. I feel like they've not gotten as much shine as some of the other clans, so people don't know what to do with the ministry now that they're a thing.
Ministry.
Yeah.
It's definitely a if we're doing Chronicles books, you could probably just use this Chronicle book as is, since it would be all NPCs anyway. But I would love to see some form of like a slasher book. Give it for the new Hunter.
Oh my god.
Something that like pretty much every supernatural is going to be upset about anyway. But
yeah, I mean, slasher is kind of what happens when a hunter fucks up too much and loses their sanity. Is one option at least. And I'm like, I would love that to be more of the consequence of Hunters and the new Hunter the Requiem, where it's like, you're the thing that bumps back at the night and da-da-da-da. If you get too lost in the sauce, you become the thing that which you hunted.
Hunter's a really good core, but I just really want to see that fleshed out in general. I know we're getting a little away from the question, but I would like to see some more standalone books that flesh it out, and it might take us getting some of the other game lines so they can kind of
I would assume
hunt them.
I would assume the devs are like, they probably would want to get the 4 core game lines out first before they start doing that shit.
Yeah, so
which I get.
Yeah,
so we'll get it in like 8 years.
But if we keep bullying them,
maybe we'll get it in 7.
Or they could hire us.
We'll
They'll get it done in 3.
Right.
Yay.
Can't promise it'll be good. No, it should be good. It's fine.
I'm great at this.
We threw together a charity show in 3 weeks. Fuck it.
Yeah, we can do it.
We can do what we want.
All right. We're ready for the next question.
I believe. Yeah.
He believes. What do you feel the difference between the
Kindred of the East,
Kindred of the East, and Kindred of the Eastern Kingdom is?
Kindred of the Ebony Kingdom.
Ebony Kingdom. Sorry, I don't know that book that well, so my answer is not going to be great. But
nope, me neither.
Is it because of the fact that the Libon aren't a separate group split off from the Kindred? Was it just luck of authorship? And that's from Gerald, aka Lord Summerisle 54. So I do remember this now, yeah. There's Kingdom of the East, which is a core book, which I've actually just been reading for the first time, because Sarah had an extra copy for some reason.
Yeah, I thought I had no copy. Friend Asher sent me a copy. I went, cool, put it on the shelf. And there happened to be another one right next to it. I'm like, when did this? So then I ended up with 2 copies. So Mary Chrysler.
So I've been reading it, and then Kindred of the Ebony Kingdom is the Dark Ages book, isn't it?
No, it's the Africa book.
Oh, it's the Africa book. Okay.
Yes.
Isn't it a Dark Ages book? Because I haven't read a lot of the Dark Ages stuff.
No.
So it's a modern book, but it's just Africa?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they condensed the entirety of Africa into one book.
Yeah, I have not read either of those, but I'm going to say, yes, my biggest problem with Kindred of the East is that they're their own thing when they don't need to be. They could have given us like a couple new clans or some bloodlines that are Asia specific and pretty much accomplished the same thing anyway. It's like, that'd be fine. We have some bloodlines and mutations of clans for specific regions based on where they're at that we've talked about in our clan episodes that are cool, and I think that would have been fine. Just give us a book of like Chinese and Japanese and other parts of Asia. Maybe there's some clans, or maybe the clan Ventrue is different in this way there. Like, that would have been maybe some special abilities. That would have been better than trying to make it its own weird game line.
I enjoy the trying to include like the karmatic cycles and whatnot into the vampires for Kindred of the East. I think that's interesting. I don't know if you necessarily had to... Vampires are already hungry ghosts. You didn't need to like double down and make them basically wraiths and skin mech suits.
Yeah.
It's kind of how it reads to me every time I've read it.
Little bit. And I also think it would have been more interesting if they'd made them just regular vampires, because it would have actually been another group directly contradicting the whole Cain Abrahamic religion thing.
Exactly.
Which, like, is already kind of up for question nominally by a lot of vampires in the canon, but then the books always go out of their way to say, but actually it's probably what happened.
Yeah.
And it's like...
It also accidentally on purpose kind of adds this like racial tension in vampires, because then it basically makes the European and like kind of Central Eastern European vampires, and maybe a little bit into like Central Asia vampires, absolutely juxtaposed to the Southeast Asian vampires in a way that it's like, there's already tension there. You didn't need to make it like this is, it gives a lot of ick in ways that I'm like, I don't narratively enjoy personally. I like the idea, because there's been notes in my having to delve into Kindred of the East that I think gives a really cool lore indication that the Ventrues as a clan is even older than regular Cain ascended vampires, and the Ventrue might actually be an offshoot from this branch from Indian vampire, like Indian vampires.
Huh.
And I'm like, that's fucking cool. Which could also explain why a bunch of ancient Ventrue have just been like, no, we have to be very specific about our lineage and genealogy, and if anybody diverts from this at all, fucking nuke them from orbit. Because we can't let people know that we're not actually from Italy. Because if they figure out our swarthy is a different form of swarthy, it completely destroys our power base here. I'm like, that's fucking fascinating. That makes it 10 times more interesting than just like, it's like some Shaolin whatever the fuck over here, and it's different and weird. And I'm like, you can include that and still, as far as I can tell, have it included with their cultural understanding of vampires. But I'm also owning I'm not from those cultures, and I'm also not a weeb.
No.
So there might be a bunch of shit I just don't have the context for.
And I think there's a lot of things you could do that's interesting. I think it's a mixed bag. I think it's not just the authorship, and it's not just that they made them a separate type of vampire / not really vampires or whatever. I think it's the combination of the two, the way they went at it, what came out of it, and like you could have made a book that was like more based on Asian mythology, made it its own supernatural, but if you're going to do that, I just wouldn't have called them kindred vampires. I would have either gone like, this is a separate thing it's a separate supernatural thing. It's its own thing based on this thing that we think's cool. They're not vampires, they're something different. Here's how they work, and made it its own thing. Or
technically, if I remember right, a lot of it's technically kind of based off a demon. Technically, if you're really reading into this, Kindred of the East is just an offshoot of Demon the Fallen.
I believe so there was a year where they did I think it was Year of the Hunter, where they did like hunter books for all the different splats. Like there was people that hunt changelings, and I believe the Kindred of the East one was called Demon Hunter X, Demon Slayer X, if I'm remembering that properly.
Is that the book on the back of it has a lady like doing a squat, and she has like really tiny booty shorts and is holding a katana for some reason?
I'm sure.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine that does cosplays, and she has like the correct build for that pose, and I've been like, it would be a really deep cut of a flex for you to cosplay that lady specifically on the back of that weird fuck ass book. She might. And if she does, I'll let the class know.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, the kind of unnecessary racial tension thing is also kind of my biggest kick in the dick with the Kindred of the Ebony Kingdoms book. Obviously, I am not African, so there's a lot of cultural shit I don't have context for.
Mm-hmm.
But because the Libon are constantly sitting in this weird narrative, they either are in the same... I really need to brush up on my biology. But for the way the vampire trees diverge, like, they're either in the same, like, phenotype group, or they're not. And the way the literature talks about it is sometimes they come from the same population pool, and other times they're like, well, the Libon are actually even older and have their own separate evolution and things. And I'm like, which the fuck is it? Because there's also evidence that fucking the Cain-descended vampires have probably been around 2 to 3 times longer than what has been said about the Cain-descended vampires. So, like...
Where are we at, guys?
Where are we at in the timeline? It doesn't help that we've got a bunch of recent archaeological discoveries that have pushed back our understanding of humans' cultural evolution tens of thousands of years back into the timeline. So it's just kind of like,
Welp.
So, but then that also just causes, because they might either be the same, I'm going to call it family group, phylum group. Either they're in the same phylum group and they can kind of argue with each other and be their own separate groups and things, or they're not in the same phylum group, and then you're stuck again with this weird racial tension that doesn't need to fucking exist in the game when there's already X, Y, and Z tensions.
There.
Yeah, and I'm like, making the vampire game be the white ones against the black ones and the yellow ones is like a weird choice.
Not a great
in the
one.
meta context of your game.
Yeah, I personally would definitely prefer they were just, if they wanted, just keep them vampires. They're still vampires. We got a book of new bloodlines and what they believe and their history and why they think the Cain story is bullshit and how they're older. They can prove it, and they deal with demons. That's fine. Those vampires, because of what's going on in that part of the world, they deal with demons more often. They could have kept a lot of that.
The veil's thinner, so they got a little more ghosts and demons and da-da-da-da-da.
I think that would have been a better approach. I do like that V5 has kind of just like put that in a corner and said, we're not touching that. Like there's the...
Sorry, just no.
Pretty much. I mean,
I giggled because you said go in the corner, and I imagined those Chinese jumping vampires, and he just put his little hands down. I was like, oh, and then sadly hopped into the corner.
Those could have just been Nosferatu, and they experience extreme rigor mortis, and so they've been known to hop to get around, something like that.
Or if
you want to explain it.
Yeah, there's also, you could also wrap it in the certain portions of Asian cultures consider certain social actions to be just as taboo as like having physical issues like we do here in the West. So having a Nosferatu in those cultures might not be, he doesn't look fucked. He acts fucked, and he can't not act fucked.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah. Like, he can't not be naked. Which is unfortunate.
Maybe talk to your playgroup before playing.
Before we do that,
guy.
Yeah, you got the Japanese Nosferatu who's got the eyeball in his butt instead of an anus, and he looks like a normal guy except for the anus ball.
Well, that would just be the Asian Salubri. You just move the eyeball down a little bit.
No. Yeah, so that's I cite fucking Ebony Kingdom in our show as much as I do because that's the book I have for Africa.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And it seems to, when I delve into portions of it, that they do a pretty decent job of trying to pull from the actual local cultures. But I am a white American British person. I'm a child of 2 evil empires. None of them are from Africa. I do have a branch of my family that does live in South Africa that we disavowed because of apartheid. But that's it. That's all I got. So I'm just like, I would love to have a better cross-cultural reference. So if anybody has one, please give.
Gib.
That might cycle back to the previous question of, hey, V5 authors, if you could add more regional cultural notes outside of the US and Europe to your books, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So next question. Other than Tremere, if you could kill any one canon NPC, not Tremere, who would it be? It's Tremere, isn't it? And at what point in the timeline? Big T Daddy at birth, right? And that's from Asher, the Fey emissary.
I mean, he's correct. So,
Okay.
that would solve so many problems.
Would it?
Yeah.
I'm concerned that if you don't kill him up until recently, it's gonna let Saulot run amok for 500 years, and who knows how many more bloodlines that man would have
I guess
caused.
that is true. All right, fine. Big T Daddy, right after Saulot took his body.
So you can take them both.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
A
valid.
twofer. Maybe a threefer.
Maybe a threefer.
So that
because Gortrix might be in there too, and that's just knocking out,
I was gonna say Gortrix, honestly, because that's not.
That man's also just fucking around.
Yeah, I feel like honestly, like he's a pretty safe. I don't think he's done anything to help anybody really. So
recently,
yeah,
that's the problem with a lot of clan Tremors. Everyone's like, they're doing really fuck shit. I'm like, yes, look between the lines of what they're doing. And it kind of, I'm like, they're doing fucked shit, but I think they might actually be like...
Do the ends justify the means,
maybe,
Sarah?
I don't know yet.
What?
They kind of read to me like the vampire, the little Dutch boy putting his finger in the dam. And everybody's like, why are you fingering that dam, you fucking nerd? Blah, blah, blah. And then this little guy's just stuck there like, if I don't do this, the entire town's going to be underwater. And no one will help me. And I don't know what else to do right now.
Right.
I'm not trying to be a Tremere apologist. It's just a little thing I've noticed that I'm like, I wish more people would maybe think about for like 5 seconds. I could be entirely wrong, and that's fine. But comparing that to the amount of damage that Clan Ventru has done with just all the colonialism and capitalism.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm just like, I don't know if Tremere's really the true villain in this narrative.
Well, also, that's not... I mean, we're picking one person versus a whole clan there.
Yeah,
so,
no, that's fair. If I could pick one NPC.
Most of the ones that I'd like
Jan
to see...
Peterzoon as soon as possible.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that guy sucks.
That guy sucks.
Yeah.
He gets nerfed in the narrative, I think, in like 2012. So he does get nerfed in the narrative. But I'm just like, you guys could have killed him so much sooner. Particularly if you look up what his predator type is and his feeding preference. Trust me, guys, we could have killed him a lot sooner.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that before.
Yup.
Not fun.
Fuck, what's his name?
I know, I was thinking, just because I think the character sucks, Sam Height. That's just a joke that went too long.
He's just an ashtray now.
Yeah, maybe. That's one of 3 canonical endings.
Yeah.
If we do our Sam Height episode, I'll have to go through it.
We need to do the Sam Height episode specifically for friend Jacob from the LARP.
But there's also a couple, unfortunately, a couple lore things we have to discuss before we can get to that. So
yeah,
a couple.
Yeah, he
gets into like every single splat.
Yeah, he's unfortunately around for a lot of shit, even though I wish he wasn't. So
she wasn't. Oh, that's fair.
But I don't. The thing is, killing them, I think, doesn't remove them from the plot. So
yeah, as Sam Height
unless
would be,
you're a true Brujah,
Sam Height destruction would be satisfying, but I don't know if it would be helpful in the grander narrative. You know what I mean?
I don't know if it has to be helpful either, but
that's fair. You got one?
Victoria Ash at the wedding.
Why?
Because it'd be fucking juicy as shit. All the conspiracies that would come from it.
Oh my god.
All the hooks that would come from it.
Depending on how that relationship was actually going, I'm just like, you're gonna have the hangriest body I came to.
I know, right?
It's like, you killed my wife. I just got it.
Got it.
It's kind of a tough one for me because I probably should fix it, but I'm least probably knowledgeable about individual characters' stories in the World of Darkness. I've run so much that I've tended to not like focus on what individuals are up to. I'm always kind of reading like the bigger picture stuff, and I've read a couple of the novels, but none of those that I've read.
I got one, and this is also slightly an update to the Clan Tremere episode where, you know, when my favorite part of every Clan Deep Dive is episode, which is what did they do during World War II? So Clan Tremere, mostly okay, except one chantry in particular.
Fucking shocking, to be honest.
It was the one in Berlin, guys!
Oh, wow!
Because I dumbed, and I didn't really read Berlin by Night very deeply when I was doing that episode. That was my bad, guys. Yeah, so the Tremere in Berlin were cool with the Nazis to the point that they canonically embraced Himmler.
Oh, good.
So he's just canonically an NPC. So I'm like, can I just... So because of that, can I kill Himmler, please?
Hell yeah.
Canonically, were the Golden Dawn vampires? Or at least...
That
I feel like I saw stuff about, like, the Tremere, like letting them be Gould.
Yeah,
And like kind of just making fun of them.
There might be some mages in there.
Yeah, Golden Dawn and other like occultic cults and groups like that, social groups that the rich would do, are like proving grounds for potential recruits for the clan, but like that's not necessarily like a thing the Tremere own.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess that would be my top pick. Himmler.
That's a good one.
It's a good one, I think.
One. Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid.
Followed by Jan Petersoon.
All right, we got
just line them up in a little line, get one shot.
They're both German. They can line up pretty good.
Well, you only get one. You only get one. That was the question specifically said
all right.
Any one.
All right, I'll get Peterson.
Okay, cool. Tag team. Let's go.
Hell yeah. I'll get whoever's the third person there, I guess.
Same height.
Yeah, he's there. He's fucking
there.
everywhere.
He's fucking this piece of shit.
Teamwork. All right, we got some easier questions here. What's your favorite fucked up food? And that's from Omen.
What?
The one that I eat
good.
a lot that people seem to think is really funny, but I really like, it's pretty low calorie and it's really easy, is what I call tortilla pizzas. You just take a tortilla shell, you slather some tomato pizza sauce on top, throw your cheese, your onions, turkey pepperoni, diced pepper, whatever you want to put on there. You melt it in a skillet or in a microwave long enough to get the cheese melted. Then you throw it in the toaster oven to get it crispy.
That's just lazy man's like thin crust pizza.
I eat that a lot. I eat a lot of slop bowls. So
yeah, a lot of like vegetarian, vegan slop bowls.
No. But a lot of it's just like rice sauce and like tofu or a meat and veg.
All right, but we're thinking fucked up foods. So like
people don't. I do dip my pizza in applesauce. That's the one that people don't. The part about it that people don't like.
Yeah, you can fuck off.
Now we're starting.
I love dipping.
Yeah, fuck off.
It's like pineapple on pizza, but like even better.
I like to dunk my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches into a milk of some sort, preferably like almond milk.
I know that's a very like kid thing to do, but I don't think I'd call it fucked up.
Okay, cool.
It's kind of the reverse of that one white lady in Get Out where she has the bowl and milk separate. And she's like eating the dry cereal and then drinking the milk.
Yeah.
Which I loved the first time I saw that movie. I lucked out and went to one of the theaters in Indianapolis. I had a good mix of black and white people in the audience. And just watching the different groups like react to different parts of the movie was like one of my favorite things, especially because it was the Dolby surround sound theater.
Hell yeah.
It was so good. But that scene where that bitch shows up eating the dry cereal and drinking the milk separate, everyone across racial lines, religions, economic classes all agreed, no. No. That is no. We all agree.
Do not do that.
We're all like, you fucked him. You fucked up your boyfriend for your parents' weird like brain harvesting cult. That's fucked up. You're eating your cereal dry and then drinking the milk separate? Satan. Evil.
John,
I like to toast the bread too.
Yeah, that's fine.
So it's crunchy and wet?
That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, Elvis's favorite food was grilled peanut butter and banana.
That's true.
I don't know why we're talking about Elvis.
That conceptually doesn't sound terrible.
No, it's
minus that the peanut butter would probably kill me.
Yeah,
but
you could use almond butter.
That's
something.
true. Yeah, I do like almond butter.
I was gonna say, John, I'm surprised you didn't immediately tell the story of the East Side Thanksgiving.
Well, it's not my favorite, but I will tell the story of the East Side Thanksgiving.
Oh my God.
Well, it's not
We're
the
gonna
East
die.
Side. It's not the story of, but it is the recipe to the East Side Thanksgiving. It is first what you do is you preheat your oven to the specified degree, whatever it is. And then you throw those mozzarella sticks in there. You cook some mozzarella sticks. When they're about done cooking, you make a cheese quesadilla. And you pull the cheese quesadilla apart when it's all nice and gooey. And you put the mozzarella sticks in there. You close it. You put it to the side. And then you take that and you put it in a personal cheese or sausage, whatever kind of personal pan pizza that you'd like. Small, preferably like a Tony's.
Or like a small tombstone.
Yeah, a small like personal size, tiny one. You take one of those. You start to bake it. When it's just about done being baked, you pull it out and you take the mozzarella stick quesadilla and you put it on half of that pizza and you fold it in half. And what you do is you take that and you use toothpicks to boop, 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 boop.
Like you're sewing someone's mouth shut.
Yeah, you're keeping it shut. And you take that and you drop that son of a bitch in a deep fryer. And you deep fry the whole thing. And then you got to eat it. And that's the challenge. It is painful.
I don't mean to toot my own horn, but like I worked in kitchens for a long time, and I make stoner food, like some real like intense food, but like I don't know if I think pizza and applesauce is probably the most just like visceral that people get when I make food.
Y'all made some like fucked ass like burritos because we all three of us used to be managers at the same health food cafe.
They were so good.
We didn't make health food.
No, they would go on their breaks to go to the China buffet that's across the food court, buy like General Tso's or something, bring it back, put that bitch on. They would grab 2 tortillas, lay them side by side to make a mega tortilla, drop their Chinese food on it, roll that bad boy up, and then
put
like
some quinoa in it.
Put some quinoa in there, maybe throw in some extra like veg and whatnot, and then like grill it.
So good.
Like we ate so good. Like it was a problem.
Thanks for all the free food, Canada.
Yeah.
I won't name the corporation, but I'll say where they're from.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was.
I've had octopus. I like octopus. I feel
calamari's good.
I think that one's kind of fucked up just because like octopuses like have sentience.
That's why I don't eat. Well, let's see. Last time I ate octopus was a few years, but I like it.
You had calamari at the restaurant.
Those aren't. Octopus.
I'm not dropping the name of the restaurant because I don't want to accidentally dox us.
This isn't. That's not a.
It's not actually.
It's squid.
Oh, squid are smart.
Not as smart.
Yeah.
Let me enjoy my foods.
I am letting you enjoy your food.
I also like pork, so
yeah.
I do eat meat, but I mostly eat vegan just because I was vegan for so long that I tend to just cook vegan things.
Yeah, like we all lived in vegan households for so long. I just tend to cook veg at home most of the time, just out of habit.
Yeah.
Except for my like bag of frozen tendies that I'll throw into the air fryer sometimes.
Sometimes I'll make some fucked up pizzas, I guess.
I think the most fucked up thing that I wouldn't say it's my favorite food, but it's a fucked up food I enjoy is black pudding.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty.
Which is, for those who don't know, is a blood sausage that's really popular in Scotland. But because of the blood content mixed into the sausage when it's cooked, it looks black. Why they call sausages puddings, I have no fucking idea. There's a weird etymological journey in Britain with like puddings being both a savory meat dish and a dessert. I don't know when that split fucking happens. I think there's episodes of Tasting History that get into that.
It's also interesting that
I like corn.
Now we just have slimes, but in tabletop and D&D and fantasy, we used to have monsters that were called puddings too. But
those are
slimes.
A branch of oozes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that those aren't that common anymore either.
Pathfinder still has a bunch of puddings as a class of like oozes.
Nice.
And like gelatinous cubes and shit like that.
I've not played much Pathfinder, but
it's super fun.
I've enjoyed what I've played. All right, so let's move on to the next question.
This one's fortuitous.
Milk first or cereal first from Me Bones?
Cereal first.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, easy peasy.
Yeah,
cereal first, because if you put the milk first,
the top's gonna be dry.
Right. Well, and your cereal just floats.
Well, you also like it makes it easier for me to get the ratio of milk to cereal if I put the cereal in first.
Correct.
Because the liquid will get between all the cereal bits and then kind of level out. Because I like to pour just enough milk into the bowl that the cereal just barely floats. So the second I see it go up, I'm like, okay, done.
Yeah.
Maybe my hot take, I don't really like cereal that much anymore.
Really?
I love it as a kid.
Cereal,
I'm not into it. I don't.
You're also doing like no carbs constantly.
I eat carbs.
Lower carbs.
Yeah, the only macros I track are protein, and I started tracking fiber, but otherwise I'll eat whatever as long as it's within my calorie goal. But, for a while when I was a kid, I was lactose intolerant. I grew out of it, so I think just that much milk is kind of off-putting to me in general. Milk, I mean, you could use almond milk and stuff.
I use oat milk. I had to stop using coconut milk because my cat fucking loves coconut. Amos is a little slut for coconut. It's a problem.
But yeah, I will not eat cereal, and I'm also not a big oatmeal fan. I think wet breakfasts are not my thing.
I don't like grits.
Really?
Grits are pretty okay.
I'm just surprised because like you're from the South.
Yeah, Southern. Don't like grits. They have always like, I don't know, it's a texture thing, I think.
Yeah.
Like I like the flavor of grits. They taste good, but the texture makes my head hurt.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that makes any sense, but
grits really threw me off for a long time because when I had grits, and mind you, I've not really gone to the American South, but I've had like Southern cooking up here up north. And when I've had grits, its texture is not too dissimilar to certain types of like Weetabix or like it's not necessarily oatmeal, but like porridge kind of things. It's very porridge texture.
Yeah.
But it was very savory and not sweet, and it just threw me the fuck off. And I was just like, why do you have savory porridge? I don't.
Oh, fucked up food I like. I mean, I don't think it's a fucked up food, but cottage cheese.
Yeah, cottage cheese is fucked up.
I love cottage cheese.
I like
It's so
cooking
fucking
with
good.
cottage cheese. I don't eat
By
it
itself,
plain.
no.
I
but
will eat it by itself.
Make some mean ass high protein mac and cheese with some cottage cheese. I made that for us, actually.
Yeah.
That was
I should
good.
make some mac and cheese soon.
Sorry, we circled back to the
All right,
other
so-
fucked up food I like. I'm just gonna say this and then move on. I like really traditional pho,
Oh yeah, with,
Which
like
if
the
you're-
tendons and
tendons and like
Yeah.
tripe and things like organ meats. I'm very unfortunately my diet is very Scottish at times where it's like, yeah, just put the whole thing in there, it's fine.
yeah.
I'm just like, well, I think it's hypocritical if you're going to partake in any kind of animal flesh to be weirdly selective about it. I'm like, dude, either eat it or fucking don't. I try to eat less animal protein just because, like, it is hard in the environment and everything.
Right.
So I'm just like, I limit how much I eat, but I'm not going to say no.
What was the question we were on?
Milk or
for
cereal first?
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
both of us were like cereal first, and Hunter's like,
I don't really like cereal.
soggy breakfast
I-
can fuck off.
I mean, I would definitely cereal and then milk because it just makes sense to me. But yeah, not a cereal fan.
That's totally fair.
All right, so our next question, I think this might just be a Sarah question, but it's, what is your favorite Beckett anecdote? That's from
Okay.
Which Night Black.
Here's the terrible thing. My favorite Beckett anecdote comes from fucking LA by Night now.
Hell yeah.
So there's, for those, spoilers, I guess, for a very popular VTM series that's been out for a few years. But there's a portion in LA by Night where Beckett just shows the fuck up. And then there's a portion of the meeting where the young kindred decide to teach Beckett uwu. And
Right.
it's Matt Mercer playing Beckett. So he's having to, with a straight face, go, what is this uwu? And then just Annabelle being played by Erika Ishii, just like genuinely explaining it and very excited. And I'm just like, this tops everything else. Like, I know Beckett's been involved in a lot of cool adventures and whatever. I'm like, no. As a storyteller, my favorite moments for characters are just these little domestic interactions. Those are my favorite fucking things. Like, in our little LARP game, we came up with the Rite of Convenience, which was our entire group couldn't stop talking over each other, so we had to make a talking stick.
We used my staff.
But we're playing Sabat, so I think it was Allure playing Ekon just went, okay, this is the Rite of Convenience, and he sat down the...
Yeah.
Ekon is Nigerian,
Yes.
so we'll preface this on that. And we're all just like, sure, it's a new Sabat Rite, a talking stick, sure. Like,
Perfect.
it'll make the meeting go faster. I love that shit. I much prefer characters, like, instead of being cool, big, badass, I'm like, no, I want to hear a little moment where your character is defending their guilty pleasure film. That kind of shit.
Yeah. I haven't read his book, so the only or watched LA by Night. So the only thing I really know about him is when he shows up in Bloodlines. So that's my
Yeah.
favorite. The one.
The one.
The one I got. Oh, I love it a lot.
He is good in Bloodlines, though.
If he shows up in Bloodlines too, I'm gonna fucking scream.
I'm sure
I mean,
he
he's
will.
got to, right? If it ever comes out.
There's been progress.
There's been progress how many times?
No. Well, there's apparently the Chinese Room, the studio making Bloodlines 2, has done more of a gameplay trailer drop that's not just the showing of the fight choreography for the different disciplines. I haven't looked at it yet, but I saw a headline about that, and I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, they posted on their dev journal recently.
So I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe if we can get... Not that I'm not excited for the combat, but I don't play Bloodlines to punch things.
Yeah.
Depends on your which clan you're playing.
Even when I'm playing a Bruja, I don't play it necessarily to punch everything.
Well, you know, that's for you.
Yeah, why play a Bruja?
All right, so next question. What's a dead giveaway mid-game you have seen that shows someone is cheating? That's from Brian. I haven't dealt with a lot of cheaters at my personal table. The closest I've got is players who misunderstood a mechanic and just kind of went with their heart on how it worked. And then sometimes you catch them and you're like, what are you doing? And then they explain and you're like, oh, okay, it actually is like this, but I understand how we got here.
Yeah.
I've dealt with that, especially because people really like playing D&D, but really don't like reading the book to play D&D. A lot of new players I've discovered. So there has been a lot of...
They're kind of playing based on vibes.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
If you're new and you're having fun and no one's getting upset, that's a teaching moment and you keep moving forward. But
yeah, I was gonna say, I've not really dealt with cheating mid-game. I've been in games where people because we're playing online. And there was a mix of people using dice roller everyone can see in personal dice. I've had a few players point out that statistically a certain player has gotten way more like crit successes than they should be getting, like an aggregate. And I'm like, I don't know how to really call that through the internet because I can't like see his fucking dice.
Right.
So like, I don't know what you want me to do about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't.
I feel like there was one. It's very hard to prove these things, especially over the internet. But there was one time that I was in a game that if there was ever a contested roll, the person would always wait until the other person said it, and they tended to win their contested rolls, regardless of like their dice pool being significantly smaller or whatever. And it just kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like I don't want to call people out for cheating because then that just makes the vibe weird for the rest of forever.
Yeah.
If it's really narratively that important for a player to quote unquote cheat or literally cheat, that might be a don't say anything during the game. Maybe use a storyteller, pull that person aside and just be like, do a calibration check. Just like, hey, are you having fun? Do you feel satisfied? What about da-da-da-da-da?
Right.
And if other people at the table are upset about that, maybe switch to having a form of dice rolling that everyone can see above board for a period of time.
Right.
And you don't have to call anyone out. You just say, hey, I as a storyteller am losing track on what the fuck is happening. So if we do the dice roller where everyone can see it, I can also keep track and know what the fuck's going on.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, because I'm like, I don't really deal with... I personally haven't dealt with cheating. I've had definitely a lot of people very earnestly believe the rules run a certain way. And then you go, no! And then they get really flustered about that. And then you're like, but citation?
Right. That usually works.
Yeah. And, there's like... And if there's like further mechanical balance issues, it's like, okay, I guess we can... Can we run with this for now and then talk about it later?
Right.
Because, like, we're in the middle of bullshit. So, good news, most people don't... I don't see the point in cheating in a tabletop game. That seems wild to me.
Yeah, I could see cheating more commonly in something like D&D or Call of Cthulhu or a game where it's a perceived challenge, like, and less narrative and more like we are fighting our way through this series of challenges and the dice determine everything. And, like, just getting frustrated and being like, you know what, I pass. Like that,
That's fair.
I could see. But yeah, cheating in a narrative when the whole point is to tell a story and have things go.
Seeing how they unfold.
Yeah.
Yeah, seems a little silly to me, but haven't really dealt with it, so.
So huzzah.
Yeah. So our next question. If you became an evil overlord, what would your villainous plan be? How would you dress? What would your stronghold be like? And that's from Brian, again.
I'd be a lich.
Oh, of course you would be.
Done. There you go.
There you go.
All the things that come with it.
Big tower. Big spire.
Big tower, but like you have to go through a creepy swamp, and then in the middle of the swamp there's like a doorway that no matter which way you look into the doorway, it's like the same. You know what I'm saying? And you have to go through the doorway, and it's a portal to a pocket dimension that has the creepy tower.
Nice.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I think my villainous plan would be to make sure everybody has health care.
I don't think that's villainous.
I mean, according to some people.
I don't know.
Sarah,
I don't think that counts.
The evil, bad, liberal Antifa that's come to transgenders.
That's the good guys.
I'm going to give your kids free lunch.
That's the good guys. You're picking the wrong side right now.
But
what if I be a bad guy?
But what if I wore... No, but here's the thing. I'm going to wear black bloc, so I look like a bad guy.
No! It doesn't count!
I'm going to ensure that...
You're the worst bad guy ever. You're like, I'm an evildoer.
I'm going to ensure there's menstruation
good.
products in both the men's and the women's restroom, because sometimes men have periods too.
You're not the bad guy. Unless you're doing this by first, like, accomplishing Jeff Bezos' wealth. You're not the bad guy.
What would your stronghold be? Probably my apartment.
I hate you. I fucking hate you.
I don't want to relocate Amos. He's comfy. I have a cat that I can stroke like a villain. Just little pets. He's a void baby. Like
think of what you could have.
Like
for
imagine
him.
me wearing a ski mask like I'm
She's
in
the
Pussy
worst
Riot.
villain. Yeah. Literally worst villain.
What if I start giving away free college?
That's better. No, you should be like the only people that go to college are people that can.
Are people? You're right. Exactly.
Fucking stop it.
All right, Hunter.
I think I would have to
For
be
friends.
a sort of like cartoonish supervillain, where I'd mostly just be like fucking with people all the time and like maybe stealing stuff for fun.
Yeah.
Like,
like the bad guy was in Lazy Town.
yeah, that wasn't what I was thinking, but yeah.
Yeah, kind of that energy.
Yeah.
Swipe or no swiping.
Kinda, like, just like pop out of a sewer grate and be like, haha, your bag is mine now.
You're gonna be a hamburglar.
I could burgle hams.
You could burgle hams.
I used to steal people's hams beer all the time.
You did do
I
that.
did burgle hams a lot.
There was that time you burgled a whole bunch of ice cream cones.
Yeah, that was fun. I don't know if I should tell that story on the podcast.
No, but
You can ask me about it in person about the time I got an entire...
we allegedly liberated a bunch of ice cream cones.
You could say that it was measured in a cart. It was a cart load of ice cream.
Look, we're Americans. We'll use any system of measure other than the metric system.
Yeah, honestly, I think my my stronghold would be like a big tunnel system, kind of like a subway system, but
Just
like in the movies and
this
in comic books where it just
labyrinthian-
kind of connects to everything, so I could
Are
just
you-
pop up wherever I
Are
wanted.
you just trying to be a chud?
Chuds are cool.
Chuds are cool.
But like,
I was
imagine
thinking-
if Chuds just like pulled pranks.
I'm just
And-
thinking of like, what if you had a labyrinth like the Minotaur, and everybody's expecting, oh, this scary, dangerous like bull monster, and it's just Hunter dressed normally, but he's got a little gnome cap.
my
so that's how
version-
you know he's in villain mode.
Well, I was gonna say my version of normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like a vintage 90s tracksuit.
Right.
Yeah, or like a band shirt and athletic shorts.
Yeah. Maybe a chain. The gnome hat. will
And
be
some like
required.
nice tennis shoes.
You got some pretty nice tennis shoes though.
Tennies.
His tennis shoe game's pretty on point.
But yeah, that's how I would dress. Just I would dress like I dress, and I would live in a labyrinthian subway /sewer/tunnel system, and I'd just pull pranks on people. I'd steal for the love of the game.
Just love the idea of you going back into your tunnels and it's that clip of like the evil witch from Snow White just as he's going down.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Every time that someone beat me, it's like, I'll get you.
Just, I'll get you next time, Spider-Man. And everyone's like, what? The legally distinct Spider-Man? And
Oh, I would definitely fuck with the quote-unquote real-life superheroes.
oh yeah.
Yeah, those dorks need like a real villain to knock them down a peg. Not that they're very high up on the food chain anyway, but...
Perfect.
This has big Calendar Man energy, but like in the best way possible.
Yeah, kind of like, Kite Man, Calendar
Kite Man, Calendar Man, Polka Dot Man.
I'm sticking to Lich.
Yeah.
I don't have to do the experiments on other people or anything like that, because that's pretty fucked up. But absolutely. Be like, I'm gonna turn myself undead forever.
And I'm
Wizards.
over here going, you know what? We should give land back to the indigenous people of this country.
I'd be like staring in a mirror practicing my leprechaun-style puns.
Yeah. In a certain light, I am the most villainous at this table. But for most people, it's like, Sarah, you're just choosing to do the correct things. It's
You're
like,
being a good guy.
what if, hear me out, what if I were to have an evil villainous plan where I gave orcas lasers?
You're getting closer.
Okay, so Dr. Evil, if he was an anarchist. I like where this is going.
Yeah, we should weaponize all orcas with lasers. The lasers should probably only have like 20 or 30 rounds in them.
See, I could see you getting to the point where you're at least kidnapping politicians and like hanging them over a tank of sharks. Like you're getting there.
Yeah.
You gotta
You're
get
getting
there.
Oh yeah.
That's
how
the
about
goal.
how about this? So what if I were to weaponize my minions because I'm pretty charismatic?
Okay, all right. The orcas?
No, the land-based minions.
Got it.
A lot of them are theater kids, so they can construct sets. So what I need them to do is make a giant row of guillotines, and we're gonna time them so as one drop, you drop the first one, and the next one drops, you know, like when you're knocking over dominoes.
Yeah.
And then we kidnap 100 billionaires.
Done. Yeah, okay.
Again, it's one of those like, Sarah, you're not really being a villain. And I'm like,
no, you're not.
I'm being more efficient Robespierre.
But this is at least like, committing quote unquote villainous acts.
Yeah, but then I'm also going to
give crime involved.
There's crime
involved.
Not just like I'm going to advocate for people. That's where you started. We've at least gotten you to like
committing a
breaking
crime?
the law. You could be seen as a villain. You're like you're like a poison ivy now.
Yeah.
More of a poison ivy, less of a.
Yeah. We're going to have a policy where everyone that works in retail or food service is allowed to beat the shit out of one customer every year.
One a year, okay.
You have to register the one. Like, that's your one. So, like on hunting seasons,
somebody's
you
being
can...
really shitty, you have to be like, what's your name? Oh, okay, all right, yeah. And what was your date of birth again? Okay.
You got health insurance? Oh, yeah, you do. Yeah. Sarah's in charge of things, though. Yeah, you got health
Okay,
insurance.
yeah. Click yes and sign. DocuSign.
Yeah. So, like how deer hunting season, they're like, you can only have so many, like, bucks and whatever.
Tags. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, everybody who works in retail and food service gets a tag.
Okay,
and then that's your one for the year, and you get to beat the shit out of one customer. Not to death, but, I think to severe injury, if not crippled state, is fine.
Oh, shit. Okay, all right.
But you only get to do that once a year.
Once a year.
After that, you actually have to go to not jail, but like some sort of rehabilitation facility. Because I believe in prison abolition.
Right, okay.
This also includes cops. Getting the shit beat out of them, not doing the beating. They already do that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. Though if I was in charge, there wouldn't be cops. There'd be a different enforcement community advocacy thing. Anyways, not the point. Yeah, I'm still in the poison ivy category. Shit.
That,
know what? At least we're killing
We'll take it.
We'll take it.
As long as some people are dead. I think technically.
And then, you know what I could do?
Yes.
We could team up. I could raise the billionaires from the dead, and then we can use their corpses to run their corporations and, like, to put the money back into, like, the
It's
world.
like, oh, shit, I can't tax them if they're dead.
Exactly.
So
you just kill them and bring them back as, like,
I was gonna say, if you bring them
minions.
back and then we just have them do menial tasks we were gonna give the AI robots.
Perfect.
There you go.
Love it.
I'd just be causing problems. I don't know if I'd be helping.
Eh.
You guys, you doing your thing.
I mean,
That's
I just want more, ethically sourced corpses.
It's ethically sourced. I can do that. I can do the fuck out of that. Like billionaires and sex pests. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Okay. We're getting
Just
there.
100 billionaires, and then there's a surprise, like, pink pony clubbed out guillotine at the end, and that's where we execute Andrew Tate. Allegedly.
I like that.
He would hate it because it's pink.
I feel like we might even get into arguments. You'd be like, well, we got to kill this billionaire. He's like, but I was having so much fun fucking with him. Give him a week. I got to steal his Viagra and let him notice. Give him a chance to notice.
Honestly, I would let you do. I was like, is he miserable? That's the thing, is I don't want to kill a fuckload of people because I'm like, no. If they're dead, they don't learn.
They do if
You're
they
moving
come
away
back
from the
to
village.
dead.
Oh, yeah.
If you bring them back from the dead, they'll
Are
learn.
they the same, though, or is it just like a mindless zombie?
That depends on how good I get at necromancy. If I'm a lich, they're probably the same. They probably or same as much as I let them be.
Yeah.
You could kidnap them and then just let them loose in my labyrinthian maze where they wandered for years.
Just with no steroids, no Viagra.
Perfect.
No bitches.
And then when
Perfect.
they die, I get them. And we'll put them back to, like, menial tasks afterward.
Okay.
The educational labyrinth where I just play little jokes.
The educational lab. You're just a paradox demon. That's what you are.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. I'm just gonna maze billionaires like they're in Sigil.
Yeah, let's go.
Alright, so next question. I was wondering if you all had a favorite non-modern setting for VTM or other World of Darkness splats. Like Dark Ages Vampire is cool, but I was wondering if you all had experimented outside of modern Dark Ages. Like a vampire game set in a dark cyberpunk future, or Victorian vampires, or vampires in space. And that's from Sorkus.
Yes, I've run a fair amount of historical games, quote unquote, using Vampire the Masquerade. Because it's like, I've spent a weird amount of time online with other history nerds that were like way too into tanks, those kinds of guys. And
government secret leakers, if you will.
Yeah, and they're just like, okay, yeah, we'd be running games that were like military things, and I was like, hey, you know, it'd be really funny. What if we ran this game that is about the French resistance during World War II, but it's Vampire the Masquerade? Like, that was fun. Other kind of shit like that. I've done Wild West Vampire. I really wanted to do Vampire, but it's like colonial times, like the Vivitch. I feel like that could be really fucking cool.
Yeah. I like the cowboy werewolf wraith books. I haven't played them. I've read them. They're cool. They even cross over with Deadlands. So
yeah, I did once start to try to run vampires set in ancient Rome.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
I started to do that with that group of nerds before everything fell apart, because shockingly, when you talk to internet nerds that are way too into tanks, you find out some of them are a little too into tanks. And then we're like, we need to disavow this entire group, because some of them really like the Black Sun sigil a little too much.
I also really like
Bummer.
I really like Renaissance Mage. I've not gotten to run it, but I have read the books, and it's so cool. It's a very interesting setting because it's kind of right as science is like really kicking off. So it's kind of like the birth of the technocracy, but everyone's kind of on even footing.
Yeah.
And setting works differently because consensus is different, so it's interesting.
Another World of Darkness game setting I would really fucking love to run. One of my favorite TV series ever is a show called Harlots. It's on Hulu, and it's about warring brothels in London, but it's like mid 1700s, 1750s. It's like right before the American Revolution.
Interesting.
And it is just hookers doing gangster shit.
Cool.
It is cool as fuck. They get Liv Tyler for a couple seasons, which I'm just like, yes. She was hot as an elf. She is hot as a Georgian lady of great means. I'm just like, damn, girl. Just still working it. It's got a great diverse cast, bunch of great things in there, and there's a lot of politicking and shit. And I'm just like, yeah, running any splat in that time period, I feel like could be really fucking fun.
Vampire Pirates.
Yes, Vampirates.
Vampirates would be neat.
Vampires would be super fun.
I feel like it would be kind of a weird game to run because just vampires on open ocean ever would be.
If you're running it,
like, how do you really do that?
If you're running it as either pirates in and around the Mediterranean or in and around,
even the Keys,
or like in the Keys and the Caribbean and stuff.
Yeah.
You do like a Pirates of the Caribbean thing where there's like pirate society and islands, and you got to get away from reality a little bit there, but
well, there were some pirate cities.
Yeah,
they weren't whole like giant ass practically countries like in the movies.
But what if?
I have run the 90s as a historical setting, which I'm sure is really upsetting some of our listeners to say, but that was a lot of fun.
It's been fun. The bad thing was because all of us are little pop culture gremlins, one of us would make a joke and then the other one go, no, we're not that far in 1994 yet. You can't make that joke. And then we'd have to Google real quick to be like, was this a cultural reference yet? And we're like, oh yeah, it was. Okay, I have to retcon my joke. Hold on.
Wait, this movie
something similar. All right, fine. Terminator 1. Cool.
But yeah, so I think that's good for that one.
Yes.
What are your personal least favorite character / clan tropes and cliches? Like Fishmalk is probably the most common. Can you think of others? What trigger you? And that's from Andreas Tremere Weya.
As much as I love the Zametsi, I do kind of get tired of the just, I am here to be a fucking monster.
No. I'm here to flesh craft and chew bubblegum, and I'm out of bubblegum.
Right, like...
I'm a sexy alien-looking monster, and that's about it.
And there's no depth to it. I'm like, but there's room for so much. And they're just like, but what if I didn't?
So fucking wild. Someday we'll do an episode on it. It's fine. I don't have to start it right now. All I'm saying is, yes, there is so much depth to Vicissitude and the clan itself that it's sad to not see it used. Very well a lot of the time.
I have a deep pet peeve with Toreadors that are obsessed with beauty, but their concepts of beauty are locked within this Western style of beauty that is very antagonistic to contemporary and modern art. So the kind of folks that are just like, I hate all of this new stuff. I don't understand. Like, and the only kind of art they like is like
classical
paintings, but they don't even actually understand that what they're liking isn't even classical. Like, it's neoclassical to begin with, or half the time they're saying things, and I'm like, oh, so you're into the pre-Raphaelites? And they're like, what? And I'm like, okay. And then the things that they complain about disliking with modern and contemporary art, it's just like, I hate it, because if you're going to be one of these artsy cunts, take the time to actually like look into it a little bit. Because if you're like, oh, I only like art from this time period and this time period, I'm just like, oh yeah, so you like da 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 da, and they're just like, woohoo, and I'm just like,
I also went to art school, so I can...
Because I'm an art school person, and I've been going to art school on and off for over a decade, I know this is a deep pet peeve for me, where people are just like, well, I don't like modern art. And I'm like, what do you mean by modern art? Do you mean stuff from like 1880 to like 1950, like actual modern art? Or are you just meaning contemporary art? Because I too do not like Amish Kapoor, but that's contemporary art. That's a fucking different thing.
I completely agree with you, and that does drive me crazy. And I also can say I feel for all of our listeners who have no idea
what I've just been saying for the past 2 minutes.
But
yeah, I was going to say, like, I did not go to art school. I do like to play toreadors, and there is a lot of times that it's like...
Here's the thing.
It feels like you got to be careful playing toreadors, because you can do that and not... I don't know. It's one of those, like, at least for me, and I know the expectation isn't, like, you need to know all of this, like, weird art history shit, but missing out on the nuances of it is probably... never mind. I'm not an art student.
Oh, no,
so,
no,
like,
here's
I don't
the
have
thing.
the
Well,
same
like, John, you are an artist. You haven't gone to, like, art school like 109, but you're an art person, and when you've done Toreador, you're a person who actually knows the shit that your guy is into.
Right.
So you haven't tried to play a toreador that's like an upper class person who would have been trained on the classics and probably should have things where people are like, oh, I'm into the classics. I'm like, what? And they're like, Rembrandt. And I'm like, Rembrandt's not a classic. Or they'll say like Claude Monet. And I'm like, Monet's an impressionist. He's not a classic. What the fuck are you talking about? That's the kind of thing where it's like, this is something that if you're making this a core thing about your character, take the 5 minutes to go to Wikipedia, type in some shit, and just have like a couple of base notes. Because it's hard for me as your storyteller playing an adversarial toreador, hear you say that shit and go, this person's a fucking moron.
Or do the opposite. Don't read shit and just play a very Ventrue adjacent toreador who's mostly just like kind of a poser. Like, if you're really not interesting, but you're going to play that character, just admit, like, I don't know a lot. My character doesn't know a lot. They're just kind of there for the vibes.
Yeah, it's like
that's fine.
You can play an artistic toreador that's, like, into a niche. Like, you can have somebody who's into making stained glass, and that's all the fuck they do. Like, that's their hyperfixation. Like, cool, that's great. But, yeah, if you're going to play this quote-unquote cultured, stuffy guy, I also have problems with that stereotype because that kind of person is also the same kind of people that get upset when archaeologists are like, you know those ancient statues, the marble ones from Greece and Rome that you like so much? Yeah, those used to be painted. They look like drag queens based on the pigments we've been able to scrape off of them. And they're just like, I don't like it. It's not da-da-da. And I'm like, you're doing a white supremacy by mistake. Or on purpose. I can't tell. So that's partially why that also irks me, because it's just like, are you saying this because you don't know, or are you saying this because you're reinstituting the power dynamics of European and white supremacy, and you realize you're doing this on purpose, or you're not doing this? You're either playing a really great villain on purpose, or you have no idea what you're doing, and I don't want to punish you as a player or storyteller, but I'm also like, I can't not address it.
Well, I feel like that kind of character also would work really well as, like I said, a Ventrue or a La Sombra. Where it's just like, I am rich, I own this art because owning the art is an investment. It gives me power, it gives me control over this bit of history that I now can lock away in a vault. Like that kind of stuffy, not really educated, just kind of going with it kind of character would work great for other clans, I feel like.
Yeah.
Or they could be a toreador who's just in it for the power. It's not really about the art for them.
Yeah.
It's more about the feeling that owning the art gives them.
Yeah, sorry, I had a lot of feelings about that, guys. It's just like Toradora drives me fucking insane. Where they're like, oh, I really care about this art. And I try to engage. And then as you're engaging, you're like, oh, they don't know shit. And then I have to discern, is this a bit that your character doesn't know shit or you don't know shit? And I don't. I
think most of the time it's safe to assume they don't know shit, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't like to assume other people are ignorant of things straight out the gate. Because I hate it when people assume I don't know things straight out the gate and start talking to me like I'm dumb, whether they're like meaning to or not. Like that's a big pet peeve for me. I hate being talked down to. It drives me insane. But I'm like, I want to be educated if I don't know things. But if you come into the situation and go, well, Sarah, don't you know? And I'm like, I'm not an engineer, so no. But I can't understand this concept, so maybe don't talk to me like I'm a fucking moron. So I don't want to do that to other people too, because that sucks.
Right.
But yeah. So, so I may have talked too much. I'm sorry. Did you guys have other ones?
I don't really have an answer. I know the fish milk one that was mentioned in the question has been bad. I haven't dealt with any of it in real life. I won't name names. I've tried to listen to a couple like live play games, and then I've heard the Malkavian and said, I'm turning this off. Like immediately just been like, this is not going to be fun for me. Mm-hmm. And my other favorite clan is probably the Ravnos, and the very stereotypical Ravnos I think is very uninteresting. The we'll say the Romani stereotype type of Ravnos. It's bad, don't do that, but also it's just like really uninteresting and really hard to get that character invested when you're playing a character who's like, I'm only going to be here for a night or two. Okay, well this game was planning to go on for a month, so leave and make a new character, please.
Yeah,
like that. Those are I like the clan. I like their Bane, but like that's just one I've seen hard that people tend to just kind of make the stereotype, and that's about it.
Yeah, this might be a stereotype for a couple of different clans. I'm gonna kind of throw La Sombra Venture Bruja kind of under the bus. A thing I've seen with players where their characters are too cool for what the fuck's going on, so they don't engage in the scene. Fucking hate that. Mostly as a storyteller, because it's like, I'm trying to give you a plot hook to get you to go where you need to go. And if you're too cool to do the hot to go dance to get from A to B,
what are we doing?
How am I supposed to go to thing? Like there's a line between being stoic and being a badass and not being a team player.
Right.
And sometimes people...
By team player, you mean with the other players at your table.
As well. Yes. You need to yes and with your team, and occasionally you just need to yes and with your storyteller, because you're like, this seems fucking stupid. It's like, I understand you as a player or in character might think the situation is fucking stupid. I promise this is going somewhere. If you genuinely have a problem with it, like, I want you to communicate it to me with your adult words as opposed to just kind of being a dick in character and making this unfun for your friends.
That's fair.
Because I've had that too. And it's just like,
Word.
Yeah.
I think we got one more left, which is, how are vampires affected by radioactivity? Read a thing recently where a person running a game, D&D, introduced a town affected by radiation poisoning, but the players didn't know and still had to solve the problem, find the source. Just led me to think about how that would work with vamps. Thoughts? And that is from Spooky Plant Gangrel.
I did not mean to stop on this question when I was copying and pasting, but we got there and I was like...
It's funny.
It's very funny because I had decided for the LARP that we now all participate in with City of Glass games... I decided to play a character where I was like, what if I played a character that had to deal with radiation as a problem as a vampire? Because I think, because usually culturally things that fall into Gothic tend to be 30 to 50 years out in the past. So, when it was the 80s and you had a bunch of horror movies, the Gothic thing was the spooky abandoned house that's been around since like the Dust Bowl. Where we are in our timeline, our Gothic stuff, I think, is coming from a lot of Cold War era stuff that's just like starting to rot and dilapidate, as well as like some industry stuff that's kind of particular to the Rust Belt, though. So I made a character that's like, what if I had to deal with the fallout of a nuclear disaster as a mortal, and how would that affect you as a vampire going forward? And I'm still working with the storytellers on this a little bit on how radiation would affect vampires, but we've kind of come to the consensus of, since vampires are kind of metabolically locked, they wouldn't really get radiation sickness or poisoning like a mortal would up to a certain energy. But if I'm making anything or dealing with anything that has that kind of energy, there's a lot of other problems we need to deal with first. Because I'm like, I promise.
There should be some preparation involved.
There should be, yeah, because it's like, that's if it's going to melt them, it's going to melt you too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fair.
See, I've had some thoughts on this because I did see this question.
Yeah.
And I think it depends on the kind of story you want to tell. I don't think there would be... I can't think of just a hard and fast rule. I think you could really have fun with it as long as you pick one and stick with it, obviously.
Yeah.
But, like, I could see that, like, maybe just healing for a vampire wouldn't necessarily take care of it because it's not like a wound. It is a foreign energy, a foreign particle inside of you. So if you were, and also I think it would have to naturally die off almost like through its natural half-life, which could be a really long time if you get really radioactive. But also, like, I think it would be interesting. You would be leaving a very definite trail when you fed. So all of a sudden there would be hunters or government agencies trying to figure out where this radiation sickness is coming from. Yeah. Like,
well, there's like, because you're kind of going the atomic vampire in kind of like a 1950s sci-fi way, it sounds like, where the vampires just radiated as fuck.
Well, it depends how radiated they are. But even like small levels of radiation, this is coming from someone who's had to go through radiation treatment. Even when you go through like smaller doses of radiation to where like I was able to be home during my I still had to be isolated in my bedroom. I couldn't be around other people. My waste had to be disposed of in a very particular way. Anything that touched my mouth, other people couldn't touch because they could get radiation sickness to a small degree just by like, and this is a small radioactive iodine. Like, you could theoretically be very easily exposed to this level of radiation, and it lasted a whole week before it went away for me. So for a vampire, it would not have to be like a science fiction level of radiation for them to affect the people around them just by like swapping fluids when they feed.
Yeah.
Like, I was specifically told that like, if you have pets, keep them away because you could take years off their life by them being in the same room as you during that week. Like, sorry if that got a little heavy, but I think radiation is, even at lower levels, is way deadlier than I think people give it credit for. And if that's something that could very easily be tracked in a vampire, and they wouldn't necessarily notice that anything's wrong with them, especially because they're not a living body and if they're not using blush of life. Like, they're not going to feel that sickness. They're not going to... So it's going to be trackable.
It kind of also depends, like, when the exposure is and how the exposure is. Because, like, if you're a normal kindred, and then you happen to, I'm just gonna say, be at the explosion site of Chernobyl, and you touch the fucking graphite, I feel like that should burn your fucking hand.
Yeah, I think you would just die. I think
you would eventually die.
Well, I would say over a certain level, radiation is just going to cause your cells to break down to a level where it's going to affect
even the blood of Cain might not be able to keep you together.
Yeah.
I would even say for my game, like, if you get radiation poison enough or exposed enough where it's affecting, like, the stability of your molecules, like you're melting, things like that, it's probably going to affect a vampire too.
Yeah.
That's where they're going to start taking damage and being sick. And, like, maybe they can heal it and stave it off and make it last longer, but the radiation itself wouldn't go away. Like, that's like, fucking horrific.
That's
just
like, you're going to wake up every night and have, like, 3 to 4 ag damage just due to the tissue deteriorating and that you have to re-heal every night.
Yeah.
Like, that...
Pushing it into a new form of body horror, essentially. Where you're like a new kind of Nosferatu, where you're just constantly melting and reforming.
Which kind of leads to, like, well, 2 things. One, for our game... I have a character that was exposed as a mortal and has been dealing with the after effects of that. So they're like, they aren't radiated, but they've had the molecular damage. So fun fact, when you're turned as a kindred, any medical problems you had before, fucking stays.
Yeah, that's why there's kindred in wheelchairs, canonically.
Blind, missing limbs, shit like that. So yeah, just the fun of playing a character that wakes up every night and goes, I can feel my bone marrow dying. I look fine. I'm not. It's kind of fun to just kind of it's an interesting headspace to be in. But I've also had the thought of, so if you're a vampire in an area that has radiation exposure, from my understanding with like the exclusion zone and various other like ecological portions of those kinds of things, when you have a contaminant in an environment, it gets more intense the higher up in the food chain the entity is. Because like you'll have the grassy guys that eat like, you know, the things on the ground, the herbivores. And then you have the mid-tier predators, and then you have the predators.
Right.
So the mid-tier guys like are picking up radiation from like drinking water and interacting with dust and stuff, but they also get it from eating the herbivores. And then the upper tier predators are eating the mid tier and the lower tier and drinking the water and rolling around in the dirt and all that stuff. So their concentrations are just fuck shit bananas. I think a similar thing might end up happening to vampires that live in areas where there just is higher radiation, where like they might not get enough of a dose for a while where it would actually cause them to start taking ag damage, I would say. But they would probably be irradiating the fuck out of other humans, and it would just get worse and worse and worse because they're feeding on humans that are also contaminated. And then, as you've talked about with the cross-contamination, they're also, like, adding more contamination to the other humans in the population. And it just causes this Ouroboros of fuck.
New bloodline of Nosferatu.
Oh, no! So, yeah. So I feel like the Bruja Council in Soviet Russia had some very specific problems that they had to think about going, oh no. Oh no.
How do oh no?
This is literally a brand new problem for the species. How the fuck do you deal with this?
I would put that on a list of books that I would love. Because I know we get some stuff about, like, Baba Yaga on that. I would love just, like, way more information about what was going on in Russia with the vampires.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Could you imagine just this really intense diary by the one kindred that stayed in Pripyat? Oh, no.
No, thanks.
Vampire stalkers?
Yeah, or, you know, there might be more contemporary vampires that stayed in, in Japan. The nuclear Fukushima. Yeah. And just like vampires that have lived through natural and unnatural disasters and are just kind of like chronicling like how it is for them and how it is for the mortals and how they just kind of fucking deal with that shit.
Be cool.
Because could you just imagine just being a vampire in Fukushima that's like, oh, this hurricane, the tsunami's coming in. Okay, I'm gonna do what I always do, which is I just go into torpor. And then I wake up.
Like a week.
And then they come back up, and the whole area has been evacuated because of the nuclear reactor issue. And he's just like,
What
the fuck do I? Oh no!
Right.
I can't just bite the scientists. They're in the fucking suits. Like they're not bite proof, but if I puncture holes in it, that like they're gonna know.
Right. I gotta figure out how to get them out of those suits.
Like I need to feed just enough so that I can make it to a vehicle so I can leave. They might not let me through the checkpoint now because I was down for so long. Oh, fuck. Yeah. There you go. There's a whole new chronicle of just horrors beyond imagination.
Yeah. I like the idea of, like, things slowly going wrong with vampires who are irradiated. Like, you know, you get irradiated as a vampire and maybe your healing is more difficult. But beyond that, nothing really, you know what I mean? And that's just because, like, your skin's melting and you wanting it to knit it together or reset it is great, but it's still melting.
Oh, God. Well, there's also just the horror show of being a vampire that's, like, not irradiated enough to really fuck with you, but it's irradiated enough that it's going to fuck with everyone around you. So you're just taking months and years off of the people you care about and you have no fucking idea.
Yeah, you just go visit a touchstone.
I'm just like, oh, no.
Oof.
Yeah.
Just suddenly the cancer rates went up in this neighborhood during the like this weird 2-decade period and then just suddenly stopped.
Weird.
All right. Well,
must have been power lines.
I think we're about at that time. We're about at the 2-hour mark at least for recording before editing. So we are back. Thanks for giving us a little break, but we're back. We have some fun episodes. We actually just sat down before this and planned out the rest of our year. We are that ready.
Now we just gotta stick to it.
We gotta stick to it. I got some things that I said I was gonna do before con, and I couldn't because of other obligations, but they will be We've got our schedule worked out from now till Christmas.
And we got
Christmas.
Ravnos coming up. I have a very special month planned.
We are working on a Halloween special.
Yes, there's going to be more Halloween. I will say it is not a tub of corn this year, but I think you'll still enjoy it.
We might be able to get some corn involved somehow.
No, there will be corn.
I'm going to eat some.
Fuck yes. Can we have some elote? Or esquites?
I still want to get
I
you
feel
to
like
eat...
esquites would be a little easier.
Yeah, I think so.
I still want to get us to eat the black corn mold. It's a
No.
delicacy.
I'm so scared of it. I'm
But it's
allergic
food.
to a lot of molds. So if
That's
we
where the horror comes
if
in.
we get an EpiPen, I'll eat it.
I just found
I
out
think
that
you have to
thought-
get those prescribed, don't you?
yeah,
get a percent.
technically.
All right. You said technically, not me, so we can go with it legally. I'm just saying you put that out there, not me, and I'm fine with it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, we got a lot of fun stuff coming up. But first of all, thanks Paralyze for our theme song.
It is a bop. I say this frequently, but
It
I will
is.
continue to stick to it.
Is a bop. It is a banger. It is a certified freak.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And if you like our show and you want to follow us, we have an Instagram at Blank Bodies Pod. We got a TikTok at Blank Bodies Podcast. I think TikTok is where we're most active.
Thanks, Sarah.
Social media
problem.
continues to crumble around us. We do have a Discord you can join us for free. There's a link below, a link at blankbodies.com where you can find all of our stuff.
Fucking do it.
And not only that, but you can also find a link to our Patreon if you really enjoy the show and would like to support us. We have all kinds of tiers that'll get you everything from Discord, secret chat for our patrons where I ask questions when I'm flustered and don't know what to focus on when I'm writing an episode. We have polls you can vote on, like our listeners chose Ravenos coming up. You get a bonus episode every month that you also get a vote on. So there's that. We have everything. We have blood. We have all kinds of fun things over there.
Certain goodies. We're trying to get our Patreon up to $500 a month. So that way we can do 4 episodes a month as opposed to 3. Because unfortunately we are trapped in this capitalist hellscape and need to pay bills.
Yes.
Yeah, but if we hit 500 a month, you will get the special milk episode. You'll get 4
Milk.
public episodes a month plus your patron episode from me. So that will be 5+ hours of our beautiful, beautiful voices every month. We'll be honest, it'll probably be closer to 10 because we don't know when to shut up.
We do not know when to shut the fuck up.
7.5 to 10 hours of us.
We are yappers.
That's what you need. You need
know-
more of me yapping in your ear.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
I'm okay.
All three of us, the more yapping you can get, the better, right?
We
So,
wouldn't be, Sarah, we wouldn't be able to yap if you weren't writing.
Y'all
true.
would be able to yap if I wasn't constantly having an existential crisis.
I mean, sometimes I help with the crises. I have a whole month of crisis coming up
You
for the
do.
show, but it's fun. It's at least one of my special interest focus, so my ADD can be pointed in a direction.
We're gonna.
Hell yeah.
I feel like for that month we're gonna have to get a soundboard that just is nothing but different shotgun cocks.
I could just bring a bunch of guns over, and we could leave them unloaded, not bring any ammo, and we can just cock them every so often.
Okay. I do have this sound. That's
That-
people. That's a
doesn't
cheering
sound-
audience.
That doesn't sound anything like a shotgun.
No.
But we could do a shotgun clack and then that, and that would be classy.
I'd rather you do the porn soundtrack.
Oh, the porn soundtrack. We'll have to save that for later.
That's fair.
We made a promise we wouldn't use it more than once per episode and get annoying. So
That's fair.
I never remember which is which. Apparently there's like 4 more, but there's like a button combo you have to get to the second set of buttons that I don't know. So
Secret button.
there's
Secret
secret
buttons.
buttons. Maybe once we hit 500 a month, I'll learn how to use our equipment. That can be a goal for us. But thanks for listening. If you want to be on the show and you've got a cool project you'd like to talk to us about, whether you're writing fan books or you're running a live play, or you've got a podcast, or you're making your own tabletop game, or you are in fact a vampire.
Please reach out to us if you're a real vampire.
You might need to start playing rock and roll to like summon one at this point.
Why rock and roll?
Yeah.
It worked for Lestat.
I guess that's fair.
He rocked his cock so hard he woke up fucking Methuselah.
I am afraid of that,
But she was pretty hot.
and she didn't kill him.
Yeah.
I gotta learn how to play guitar.
You want to tempt a goddess? You gotta work on your white boy swag.
I'm glad that we met through the music scene and we've known each other through a decade through that, and this is what convinces you to learn an instrument.
A Methuselah like Aaliyah, right? Yeah, that was Aaliyah playing it. Like Aaliyah? Come on.
Yeah.
I would learn to play guitar for Aaliyah.
Honestly,
Exactly.
mood.
Yeah.
I agree.
In a
I would do a lot of
heartbeat.
things for that lady, I'll be honest.
Same.
Yeah.
I'd learn to play drums.
I'm surprised you don't play drums more.
They're loud and expensive and take up a lot of space.
Mostly loud is what's blocking me. I'm good with my hands, but I have real stupid feet. I tried to learn drums. That's what I realized. I can do the hands. I can do like marching band rolls and all kinds of like complicated stuff, and then my foot enters and just ruins the whole party.
And then
It
you're
just
back
fucks
to
things up. I got dumb feet.
I can keep a like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 on the thing, and maybe I can every once in a while I could do a da in there. But if you ask me to do the hi hat as well, you get bass drum or you get hi hat, and don't fucking ask me to do both.
He's too pretty. Anyways, goodbye.
Yeah, I'll see ya.
I am leaving this household in the very near future. Goodbye, everybody. Mwah.